Well, sticky inflation is presenting the largest problem for President Joe Biden's re-election this year. Meanwhile, the scarring effects of inflation may be leaving Americans nostalgic for the former president's economy. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman to discuss more. Rick.
Hey, Kiko. I've been getting lots of anecdotal feedback from people writing in and contacting me on social saying, come on, the economy did better under Trump than under Biden. This is showing up in polls. Voters definitely say they trust Trump more than Biden on the economy. So I just went into the data to figure out, well, is that true or not? And looked at inflation, which of course is the biggest thing that's on people's mind. And yeah, it is true. So under Biden so far, we've had 3 years under Biden. So we compared Biden's first 3 years with Trump's first 3 years. Total inflation under Biden under 3 years is around 17%. Under Trump, it was only 6%. Earnings under Biden are up by more than they were under Trump, but they're actually not up by as much as inflation. So people are falling behind in terms of the purchasing power of their paycheck. And under Trump, earnings were up by a little bit more than inflation. And if you get into different categories, I've been tracking 26 key categories since 2001 and seeing how inflation is going there. The things that matter most to people, groceries, rent, transportation, yes, they're up by more under Biden than under Trump. There is a little bit of a surprise. Under Biden, three things are up less than they were under Trump. That is healthcare, prescription drugs, and college tuition. Definitely important for people who have to deal with those things. But we've got the data. So this is the problem that Joe Biden has to deal with. The trend is going his direction because inflation, as we've been talking about quite a lot, is getting better. The question is, will it improve enough during the next 9 months before people vote that they're going to say, okay, things are good under Biden? And just one last thing I will add, Akiko. So this story went out late yesterday, and I've been getting a lot of feedback on it. And some people are saying, hey, I'm actually better off under Biden than Trump. I don't agree with your premise. So there are those people out there who say, I'm doing pretty well right now, and I'd like to stick with the way things are.
Rick, for the president, I guess the story is the improvement, right? That at least the White House wants to sell. If you think about inflation, where it was a year ago, how it's come down, how the job market has been resilient, how do they tie that directly to the White House when voters are so skeptical and really down on the economy despite the data we've gotten?
Yeah, as we're learning, it's a really tough problem. And I think economists, policymakers, voters, and politicians all forgot how scarring inflation really can be. We have not had serious inflation since the early 1980s. And it's almost like it just stopped being a thing. So we are now learning that the big problem that people are expressing is even they do realize that the rate of inflation is coming down. So when the rate comes down, that means we still have inflation. Prices just going up at a much lower rate than they used to. The problem, as many consumers are 100% aware, is a lot of the things that went up in price are still there. They have not dropped back to where they were before we had this bout of inflation. A few things are, we're seeing like used car prices are now starting to come back down, but food prices are not coming back down. They went up and they're staying there. So that's what people see. And that is a direct pocketbook issue. So Biden has a tough message on this. He has to, he keeps talking about the things that are going well in the economy, and that is job growth has been terrific. Workers are getting raises. We've had GDP growth. The economy's growing. Those things are all going well. But we now know that doesn't matter that much when people feel that the purchasing power of their paycheck is being eroded. So Biden's trying to split the difference here. He's been trying to say, emphasize the things that are going right while saying, I understand we have more work to do. Prices are still too high. There's no evidence that's working yet because his approval rating is low and it hasn't ticked up at all. But we still have time, and we're seeing in consumer confidence surveys, there is some evidence that people are starting to feel better about inflation. Like they're starting to realize, yeah, it seems to be going away for good. So Biden just needs that trend to continue and start to have some impact on a better approval rating for him.
Yeah, it is still February, a ways out here from that November election. Rick Newman, as always, thanks so much for that. Kiko.